Hello everybody. I'm going to look at some examples of evaluating algebraic expressions. There's only two steps to doing this. The first step is using the substitution property to use the indicated values. And the second step is using the order of operations. So let's get started. For the first one, we have y squared minus x for x equals 9 and y equals 3. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to substitute in a 9, and everywhere I see a y, I'm going to substitute in a 3. So instead of y squared, that'll be 3 squared minus, and for x, I'll plug in a 9. Now remember, 3 squared is the same thing as 3 times 3, and we know 3 times 3 is 9. Exponents before subtraction, right? And then 9 minus 9 is 0. And we're finished with that problem. Let's look at another one. All right, this time we have x and then parentheses, so that's multiplication, times 5 minus z. So let's plug in a -2 for x and an 8 for z. All right, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, our parentheses or grouping symbols are first, so I'm going to do 5 minus 8. 5 minus 8 is -3. And then we'll use multiplication. A negative times a negative is a positive, and 2 times 3 is 6. All right, let's look at another example. This one's a little bit bigger. We have 3 variables. I'm going to bring down the -4 plus 3. Where I see my A, I'm going to substitute in a 7. Where I see my B, I'm going to substitute in a 9. Squared divided by C is 6. So first we're going to look at our parentheses. We have 7 minus 9, that'll be -2. All right, next we want to evaluate our exponent. So we have -2 squared, which is -2 times -2, which would be +4. All right, we have multiplication and division, so I'm going to use the left or right rule. The multiplication comes first, so 3 times 4 is 12. Next, we're going to do our division. 12 divided by 6 is 2. And then addition, -4 plus 2. Different signs, you subtract and keep the boss. -4 plus 2 would be -2. All right, let's look at another one. All right, let's go up here first. We have n squared for n equals the square root of 3. So, and I'm going to plug in the square root of 3 for n. Now we can think about this a couple of ways. I'm going to work it out the long way first. So -3 squared, I know that's the same thing as the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. And then I know I would multiply these. 3 times 3 is 9, so that would be the square root of 9. And the square root of 9 is 3. So this is the correct answer. But something that you need to know is that a square root and a square are inverses. They undo each other. So this cancels this out, and we get 3. Kind of like how a cube root and a cube are inverses and they cancel each other out. Let's look at another one. All right, for x, we're going to plug in 5. And then for y, we're going to plug in 3, and that's squared. Since all these are together to be multiplied, so I'm going to put a little dot in here to separate and show my multiplication. For z, I'm going to plug in a -2. And that's cubed. Now that's in the numerator. In the denominator, we just have y, which is 3. So I'm going to handle my business up top before I look at the numerator and the denominator together. We'll do our exponents first. 3 squared is 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. And then we have -2 cubed. Now remember, that is just -2 times -2 times -2. We have an odd number of negatives, so that's going to be a negative product. And 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. All right, and since this is multiplication, I'm just going to multiply straight across. We could say, I'm going to go out of order here. 5 times 8 is 40, and then 40 times 9 would be, what's 4 times 9? That's 36, but then you got that 0, so 360. Don't forget your negative. And the reason why I did that is because it's easier to say 40 times 9 than 45 times 8, in my opinion. All right, and then we want to divide. A negative divided by a positive is a negative, and 360 divided by 3 is 120. What property says that the order I multiply doesn't matter? That would be the commutative property of multiplication. All right, let's look at another one. Can you see? I'm so sorry. Got it? For the next one, we're going to have fun and throw in some decimals and fractions. So for x, we're going to plug in 0.3. For y, we'll plug in 2/5. Now, we got to change this to either 2 decimals or 2 fractions. So let's go the fraction route first. 0.3, 3 is in the tenths place, so that'll be 3/10. I can only add fractions if they have a common denominator. So the LCD for 10 and 5 would be 10. To get 5 to be 10, I multiplied by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So now we have 3/10 plus 4/10, which would be 7/10. 7/10 is the same thing as 7 in the tenths place, which would be 0.7. How do you change a fraction to a decimal? All you have to do is take the top and divide it by the bottom, or take the numerator and divide it by the denominator. And I remember in middle school we used to say the cowboy goes in the house, the horse goes on the outside. 5 won't go into 2, so I'm at a decimal into 0, and 5 will go into 24 times. So that's 0.4. So if you did it using decimals, you would have 0.3 plus 0.4, which is, of course, 0.7. All right, let's look at another one. All right, for P, I'm going to plug in 15 minus, and then a bracket, 10 plus parenthesis Q, which is 9, minus M, which is 7. And then we have another bracket. So first we're going to do the parentheses inside the brackets. These are grouping symbols. We have grouping symbols in our grouping symbols. So 9 minus 7 is, of course, 2. So we have 15 minus 10 plus 2. All right, and then 10 plus 2 is 12. I'm through with my grouping symbols now. And then 15 minus 12 is 3. Easy breezy lemon squeezy. All right, let's look at one that's a little more interesting. All right, for this one, it's multiple choice. We have a fraction and 2 values to plug in. So let's get started. For A, I'm going to plug in 3, or substitute rather. And then we have -2 cubed. B is -2. And then on bottom we have 7 times A. Whoops. A is 3. Let's try that again. 3 minus 5 times, and B is -2. All right. So let's do the numerator first. We got to do this exponent, -2 cubed. We just did that. That's -2 times -2 times -2, which is -8. All right, so now we have to multiply. So we have 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 3 times -8 is -24. A negative times a positive is a negative. 3 times 8 is 24. Let's go ahead and finish simplifying the numerator. 6 plus -24, the signs are different, so I subtract. 24 minus 6 is 18, and the boss is negative. So we got the numerator. Let's work on the denominator. I'm going to scooch down here to do that. So first we need to do what's in parentheses. And in our parentheses, we have subtraction and we have multiplication. So we'll do the multiplication first. So that'll be 7 times 3 minus 5 times -2 is -10. All right. When you subtract a negative, I'm going to use keep, flip, change, or keep, change, change. So that'll be 3 plus +10, which is 13. And then 7 times 13 is 91. I mean, if I could reduce this fraction, I most certainly would, but we cannot. So then the answer will be -18 over 91, which is D. All right, let's look at a couple kind of word problems. The first one says, the area of a circle is given by the formula A equals pi r squared. Find A, or the area, when r equals 3. So we got A equals pi r squared. They're telling me r is 3. So A will equal pi times 3 squared. 3 squared is just 3 times 3, which is 9. Don't forget your pi. So the answer would be 9 pi. Let's look at another one. It says the formula for finding the perimeter of a square is P equals 4S. S is the side length, right? It says find P when S equals 5. So I'm going to come over here to P equals 4S, and instead of S, I'm going to plug in my 5. And 4 times 5 is, of course, 20. You guys know that. All right, let's look at a word problem. It says Jamie earns 20% commission on her sales. So that's, a commission is like a part of her sales she gets paid to her. So if she makes 20% and she sold $100 sneakers, she would get $20 off that sale. If S is her total sales, then 0.2S can be used to find the amount she earns in commission. Find the commission if her sales are $1,200. So all I would do is take this 0.2S, so that'll be 0.2, and you guys, 0.2 is 20%, right? 0.3 is 30%. And then for her sales, I'm going to plug in 1,200. And then you just want to multiply that, 0.2 times 1,200. I guess I'll do it the old school way here for you guys. 0 times 2 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. Now you got one number behind the decimal, so I need one number behind the decimal. So that would be $240 she is making on commissions for those sales. It's pretty sweet, right? All right, one more. It says the Pyramid Arena in Memphis, Tennessee is the 3rd largest pyramid in the whole world. The area of its base is 360,000 square feet. It's been a long day. And it is 321 feet high. All right. The volume of any period is 1/3 of the product of the area of the base and its height, h. Write an expression that represents the volume of a pyramid and find the volume of the pyramid arena. So we're going to write the expression for the volume. So it says the volume is 1/3. That would be 1/3, right? The area, the product of the area of the base B. So big B, product means to multiply, and its height. And then we're just going to plug in the values that they give us, and we will be done. And they're great big, which is awesome. So we'll have 1/3. Now big B is the area of the base. And it says the area of the base of this thing is 360,000 square feet. So 360,000. And then the height is 321 feet. All right. Multiplying 1/3 times 360,000 is the same thing as dividing 360,000 by 3. So that'll be 120,000 times 321. And I'm going to do this the quick math way. I'm going to take 321 and multiply it by 12. And when I get finished, I'm going to add back in these 4 zeros. So 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. We're going to add those together. We have 2, 4 and 1 is 5, 6 and 2 is 8. Don't forget my little 3. I'm going to have to squeeze it in there. And then I'm going to add back these 4 zeros. And then I'll go 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma. So that is 38,520,000 cubic feet because we're finding volume. All right, I hope this helps. Have a great rest of the day.